Welcome. You are at the C-Suite.
What was that? Where there are no outside issues. My name's Anthony. I'm an addict and an alcoholic, another bozo on the bus, and I care about you.
Yes, and I'm LouiLou. My pronouns are he and him, and I'm in recovery for crystal meth and alcohol, and I am always in search of balance.
Balance.
Yes, and each week we strive to foster a brave space where we can engage in conversation centered around topics of recovery.
And our intention is to hold and inspire better spaces from people in recovery by tackling issues sometimes used to separate us.
But before we do that, please like, comment, share, and subscribe. There he is, talking over me. Go ahead. It's like,
No. And I'm Jordan, the third wheel. Also a Gemini.
Yeah, always a bridesmaid, never a bride.
Yes, exactly.
Exactly.
Another disclaimer, the thoughts and opinions expressed on at the CCC are alone. We do not represent anyone but ourselves. In other words, we're just a couple of friends behind a mic here to entertain you. And of course, everything we talk about is for general information purposes only.
Jordan is like Spinderella. You know, after
Spinderella got it at one time.
After a while, so she started rapping. I'm all, she's the DJ. Why is she rapping?
I get it. I'm the Michelle. I get it. It's fine.
The one-atches.
How are we?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. I'm just, really happy to see you guys this week.
Really happy to see you too. Another episode with Jordan, which is fantastic.
Yeah, I know.
Just here to please.
I know. Yeah.
Well,
that's what I heard.
I hope you come back.
Wow. So what you all who are listening didn't see was Anthony's eyes when he said that. It's like, come on. You couldn't hear all this.
The eye rolling. The eye rolling. So were you going to say something, Jordan? Okay. So I think I was talking to you guys about this before, but you know, like I'm on like these dating apps and I've talked to people about our podcasts.
Shameless plugs.
As shameless plugs. And people will like go on and they'll listen. And it's crazy because you don't really know what people are going to like stick to. And like, I got a lot of really interesting feedback about like the stuff that we talk about. So if you're listening to this and I met you on a dating app, welcome.
How's it going?
I'm glad you stopped by. One of the things I tell people is like, if you're gonna, I'm a lot less animated in person, because I feel like if I'm just talking to someone, it's a lot calmer, and so it's like it's not a really good. It's not really good advertising.
Well, I feel like, and we were talking about this. Yeah. We were talking this before. It's like,
I really love you guys.
I know, exactly. I feel like this is definitely like, this is the love circle. Love. Yeah, because there are some times it's like, actually, MGM, she came into my job. So they need a different person at the front of the store because you're like a Rottweiler or a bulldog. Because it's like, I'm off.
You know what? Go ahead. Well, I love that I'm like discovering this right now because, you know, like this feels fun for me. I feel relaxed, all that other stuff. And I don't necessarily feel that in every social situation.
No, not at all.
And yeah, so I think that's, I don't know why, but I feel like I'm just like stumbling upon that insight as we speak.
Well, the podcast has been really helpful for me in that it's like, it has been kind of a template for how I want certain things to go.
Yeah.
Like even how I share in meetings, this has made a difference. Has made a difference in how I show up because it's like, I live this idea of there are no outside issues.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I love that.
Everything that is going to that can cause me any kind of discomfort or grief, I'm talking about it.
Work.
I don't care.
I love that.
Preach.
Work.
Take it to church. So today's episode is redefining.
I feel like that's a microaggression.
What is?
Take it. I'm glad. He said it once before. He's like, come on, take us to church. Come on, take us to church.
Look at God. Won't he do it all the time?
Won't he do it? I'm like, God is good. I'm like, come on, hallelujah.
That's fucking fantastic. So today's episode is redefining success beyond chips, dates, and dollar signs. So what we're talking about today is redefining success, right? So in recovery, maybe before you entered into recovery, your measures of success were like the job, the partner, the car, the trips, right? Maybe it was all of those different things. Exactly. And maybe I think you'll hear through our discussion today, some of those things start to shift.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, the idea, I feel like hopefully if you are moving in a healthy direction, they shift for everyone.
Yeah.
Like, especially, if you are obsessed with getting certain things and you get those things and you realize they don't give you the kind of joy that you thought they would give you, or they leave you still feeling empty.
Yeah.
Then
Yeah. I would say even before that too, like for some folks, including myself, right? Like success before recovery was surviving the day.
That's right.
Was making through the workday, not being found out that I was high. Like, or, like surviving day to day was a success for me. Whereas like now that's changed a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah. I feel that. And there are all these all it's late, guys. I don't know what I just did. And we don't edit, guys. So that's what you heard is what there was. So we have, the regular kind of like matrices.
We're raw dogging a mic.
I think people know when we're recording like extra late because we're like extra punchy and kind of like all over the place. But so there are these milestones, right? There's sobriety dates, there's material success, there's in some cases what might be like Instagrammable milestones that people might post online, right? And what
oh my God, it's like there's some people, everything's an Instagrammable milestone.
Yeah, you know what fucking gets under my skin?
What grinds your gears?
What grinds my gears? So there are a lot of these. I've been following these concerts. So like there was the Coachella was recently, and some of my favorite DJs, they've hosted these concerts in these dome spaces, and so they utilize the entire dome to like put up images. And in every single one of these things that I've seen, everyone's on their fucking phone and recording. So they're not like even experiencing it. Yeah. They're like experiencing it through their phones, which like.
It's tough. Yeah.
Yeah. So speaking of Instagrammable moments. And so, so I feel like, there are all these different things that we might look to measure success. And I think what happens in recovery, and I'm sure we'll hear more from the two of you around this, is, we start to realize that a lot of the things that we thought made us successful actually made us feel empty or weren't as important.
Especially especially before recovery. Like I always think, like when you achieve or you gain all of these things or whatever, I feel like when you lose them, they weren't really yours.
Right.
Like I always said, it's like I'm all, and so when you finally get them again and you have a different kind of appreciation for them.
Yeah. And then there's also this piece here about like what it means to like be a queer person in recovery around milestones, because you have like heteronormative ideas of success might be like, going back to this idea of like having kids, or being married, or having kids, a dog, and a house, right. So there are all of these other kind of like subtle things, bigger picture things that I think are at play. So I'm wondering, like, starting off the conversation with like, what are times where you've felt behind in recovery, regardless of like how much time you have?
I think work-wise and financially, like there were times where I was spending time with these lovely people. They were lovely people, but they had better jobs, they were more affluent, or either they had a better understanding of how to. I always said the respect of money and how they were using it.
Yeah,
and I think I was there, but the way that I kind of overcame, because I can only talk about that now, is I would, in a loving way, distance myself. Because perfect example, friends who would like to go out to eat all the time. We'd have fellowship after meetings, and then we'd have extra special fellowship where we would go somewhere, and it would usually be at a restaurant or somewhere that was a little pricey.
Yeah.
And at the time, a little pricey was Denny's. Like I obviously couldn't afford whatever.
Yeah.
And while they were always happy to cover, I had to make a conscious decision to say, you know what, I appreciate this, but I don't need this because this is really setting me up for, because I was showing you guys a TikTok that I did, but one of the things that I was realizing that if I don't give myself a chance to kind of step away from this, then I miss an opportunity to see my own, to see my own kind of accomplishments,
Yeah.
Because I'm comparing and contrasting to something else outside of me. And I'm not looking at what I need to be looking at. Like, where was Louis at this time a couple of years ago, as opposed to where Louis is now?
Yeah.
Yeah. I think for me, I just think of like, there's a picture of me in a bathing suit before my like real bad active addiction. And then there was a picture of me in addiction, which was not cute. And then a picture of me now, right? Like for me, there was before my real bad active addiction, I had such bad body dysmorphia, you know? And it's like, oh, if I just had more abs, my arms were just a little bit bigger, whatever. Right. And then flipping to what I look like now, just like success has looked like being comfortable with who I am and what I look like.
I love that. Yeah.
You know, and I think the previous ideal of success was to be that Instagrammable model that got all the oohs and ahs or whatever, right? To just being happy with what I look like now.
Yeah.
And
I love that. I love that example because I've had the experience recently. So I have like a lot of body dysmorphia stuff going on with me. And so what's interesting, right, is that I talked about before, like I'm on these like dating apps. I'm on one dating app. And
look for them.
Dating app versus hookup app are different. Hookup apps are different, and I'm phasing out the other one because my subscription is ending soon, and I don't need to and I don't want to renew it. Well, just because I'm
7 days free trial.
Well, no, I've had it for a couple months. Okay, here I'm going to explain what I'm talking about. So part of it. So like going back to like measures of success, whatever, right? So after my relationship ended and like things unfolded, I had like a lot of self-esteem stuff coming up for me. And I felt pathetic. I felt unattractive. I was embarrassed. I had all of these things going on. And so my kind of like default thinking was, well, I know how to get attention. Like I know how to kind of like reintegrate myself. And so I ended up going on these apps. I get all of this attention. I'm meeting up with a bunch of people, and I thought that's what I wanted. And then I get it, and I'm like, oh, actually, that hole that I was trying to fill is not being filled. Actually, I actually feel quite empty. Because, for example, like even on Hinge, I actually messaged someone about this recently. I had amassed like this crazy number of matches and these crazy number of likes, and I'm like, who gives a fuck? Right? Like, this is like, who cares? Right? So you get to this place. And so now I'm like, I think that's kind of like the subtle talking about measuring of success is that there was maybe like a delusion I had that success meant, like I had to be I had to get the attention of other people and all this other stuff. For example, if you go on any of these apps, you have a bunch of people on these apps who have like these amazing bodies, right? And and I'm like, I wonder like if they're getting what they're wanting of, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because I don't have anything like that, but I just anyway. The point is that comparing, right? And it's really easy for me to compare myself to these people.
Oh yeah.
And it can also happen in recovery. Like you can see people who are hanging out and they're going on trips that maybe you weren't invited to, or maybe you didn't go to because you couldn't afford it, and it's real easy to like look at those situations and think, well, yeah, I'm sober, but like I'm not that sober. Like I don't have like the financial freedom or the luxuries that everybody else around me has.
And that makes me think of the same idea, like in meetings when they say, look for sponsors who have something that you don't have, right? So
or something that you want,
right?
Yeah.
So to me, that's like is saying, measure your success based off other people.
Yeah.
Right? What success do you want to reach at? Because I want something that I don't have.
Let's go.
And so how we said this in a couple episodes earlier, but 12 steps is not perfect, right? And to me, that's a little bit of a double.
Let me tell you, I heard somebody else phrase it differently. They said, find someone who has what they want. Right? It's like someone who is happy with their lives, someone who, right? I think that's a very different kind of like measure. Also, go ahead.
If I can just interject, it's like when they say find somebody who has what you want, they're not necessarily talking about physical things.
Cash and prizes.
Like when I see somebody who has peace, who has serenity, who who is assertive, who doesn't have any problem setting clear boundaries or whatever. It's like every time I've chosen a sponsor, like I remember one time my sponsor, Rodrigo, he's amazing, love him. He moved here. He had moved from Florida, and he was so popular, and everybody loved him. And I don't like this, and so I was all annoyed. And so I chose him for that reason, because I was thinking that I didn't have that. And so I understand.
When I met my sponsor, who I've been working with for over 10 years, when I saw her speak for the first time, I thought to myself, like, I want to feel that confident. I want to feel that secure in like my recovery. And she's been like that since I've met her. Yeah. You know what I mean? And what I love about her is that she has like a lot of humility, and like shit has not, I'm not spilling her own tea. That's her story. I mean, she's spoken at like, anyway, but you know, like her life hasn't been easy. Yeah. Right. But I still look at her and I think to myself, like, this is someone who's resilient. This is someone who's like forward looking, who's of service, who like still manages to kind of like return back to recovery. I've never heard her like, she always comes back to a solution.
Absolutely.
She's always been that way. So yeah, you know, we can feel like we're behind other people, and there are all of these different things that we can use to measure our success.
I feel like, okay, so this conversation is important, especially if you're doing work. You know, we've talked about before the doing the work or whatever. If I'm not doing anything, this conversation is, you know, sure. I'm always going to measure by whatever standards, maybe not the best, but if I'm constantly like trying to be better, realizing that I'm taking the actions I need to kind of change where I'm at or whatever, that's what causes me to kind of change the goalposts, or, you know, to look at my success a lot differently. Like, because of what I've been through, my struggles and everything, I'm able to now not judge myself as harshly compared to somebody else. Because let's go back to the body thing. Like, I want the perfect body. I want muscles and everything, but I'm also not willing to do the work. And so one of the things that I would say, like, I don't feel bad for somebody who wants that if they do the work for it or whatever. They do the work to have it. It's okay. You know what? There's nothing wrong with that, and I'm okay. And I think one of the other parts that I was saying in my TikTok is I want to wish people well. That's my goal, and I feel like that's where my success has been, to be able to genuinely wish people well for their accomplishments, and realize that just because you have it doesn't mean there's no more for me.
100%, right? And right, that scarcity mentality, like zero sum. So, and here's the other part of that too, is like, we can't assume someone's quality of life based on the things we see.
Yeah, the more polished some of these queens are,
let me tell you,
the more fucked up they are.
Let me tell you something, because I've seen some of the fucking profiles on this dating app of people that I know who, you know, like, they have all the things, and I'm like, I know what your life looks like.
Name them.
Say their names. Say their names.
Okay, just name them.
No, I mean, I would never, but I share that to say, like, and I'm saying that with humility, right? Because I look at these profiles and like, they're curated, right? And I know I've come across a few of them where I'm like, they're these curated profiles, and I'm like, I've known you for over 5 years. Yeah. This is not you. Yeah, that's this is not you. I know that. So that's the other thing. We can't assume we know what someone's quality of life is based on the things
also,
that they have.
if you're looking at social media apps and everything, guess what? I can show you what I want you to see. And hopefully you buy into that or whatever. And this is the problem. It's like, hopefully you buy into that. Most of the time you need to do a little more research, because you let one of those knuckleheads in your space, you're done.
Yeah, that's right. So let's talk about what actually matters then.
Ooh.
Right? Let's talk
Get
about
up and show us that butt. Oh, yeah.
Well, I love that even with my shingles, you want to see my butt.
Oh my God.
It's like a shingled butt.
Yeah, which is just a quick update on this shingle. Oh, I wasn't going to share. I guess
I know.
Well, I got fucking shingles. I had chickenpox when I was a kid. So shingles, so if you have chickenpox as a kid, the virus can be reactivated as you get older, and it can be like stress induced. And so that's probably 100% what happened is like, I've just been under a lot of stress, but things are fine. But the update is that like a lot of the pain has like subsided. I actually don't feel it as much. And so I'm healing anyway. So the things that matter, health is something that matters.
Health absolutely matters.
Health matters.
One of my success lately is like making sure that I take my meds properly.
That's right. Yeah.
It's because it's like I have hypertension. It's since we're talking about health stuff, I have hypertension, and it's something that I was gifted to me because I'm a black man, and it's not because of everything going on, but it doesn't help it.
Yeah.
And I've managed to kind of do that and do that in a way where I enjoy taking care of myself. It's
Something I think about too is living in a sober living environment house is like making my bed every day. Like I hated making my bed forever, resisted it, right? But now it's like it to me, it's a mini success of the day, right? To start the day, and it shows that I'm in a good headspace.
That's right.
Right.
Yeah.
It's weird how like that little thing that
and we all show up. That's a big thing. I didn't trust myself for the longest time in the beginning because I missed so many amazing things that were happening because I couldn't show up. I couldn't show up for myself. And so nowadays it's like, when folks, they rely or they look for it because they know that I'm going to be reliable. And that's a big thing. That's amazing.
Yeah. There's, I think there are 4 things that come to mind to me are like inner peace, right? I didn't have a lot of inner peace when I was drinking and using. There was always so much drama around me all the fucking time. Having healthy relationships with people, right? Because I'd burned bridges or I wasn't, y'all know, just healthy relationships with people in my family, with my employer, with, they just weren't. I think the big one for me is like authentic self-expression. That's something that that to me is like something I'm still working on. Is like, that's a gift of recovery, number one. The reason why I say that is because, like only doing step work, specifically like doing like the inventory, like 4 and 5, like I was able to, and fucking therapy, like basically I threw everything at this, right? Because I knew that for the longest time I was like being a chameleon. And what's happened is like over the last couple of years, I've gotten more comfortable with just being who I am, right? And in virtual spaces or when I'm meeting new people or at work, right? Like that's something that feels like a success to me. And going back to what you were talking about, Jordan, around like body dysmorphia, the goal for me has been to feel comfortable in my body no matter what the shape is, right? Because I've had instances in my life where I have met fitness goals and I was still incredibly unhappy. I didn't get the things that I thought I wanted. And then there've been other times in my life where my body wasn't in the shape that I wanted it to be in, but I was incredibly happy and fulfilled. So authentic self-expression. Go ahead.
It makes me beg a question too, is like, how do we tweak success? How do we keep changing success? Is it trial and error? Is it, I thought I wanted this, I got it, and I really didn't want it, right? Or is there a way to avoid that rabbit hole or that?
Well, my sponsor always talks about this idea of striving for perfection, but settling for progress. And there's nothing wrong with wanting things to be different or wanting things to be better. But being realistic about it. Like, I think that, again, not getting caught up in what you don't have, but really being grateful for what you do have. My active practice of gratitude, where I look around and I see what's going on so that I put it in proper perspective. Because again, if I'm coveting or thinking about what everybody else has, I'm not paying attention to what I have. Every now and then I have a moment where I look around, like my apartment, tiny, but it's mine.
That's right.
And it's like, there was a time where I didn't think that this was going to be possible. And so it's like, it feels good. It feels good. And when I think about that, I got to pat myself on the back and say, girl, you did this. You did this and you're continuing to do this. And so that's success for me.
I love that.
Yeah.
I love that. There's this great paper. It's called "What Does Recovery Mean to You? Lessons from the Recovery Experience for Research and Practice" by Laudette. And what I loved about this paper specifically is that it talks about measuring how measuring success can shift to internal markers, especially in recovery. So, right. And like in recovery, it could be about like learning how to regulate your emotions, right? It could be about self-compassion. It could be about repairing relationships, and that like those experiences become markers of success. I think the other thing here too is like the kind of abandoning of ego can also feel like a success. And by that, I mean, it's like, you know, like you're choosing not to have every fight that you want to have, you're giving yourself space to just breathe. And you know what? I'm not going to have that worry today. I'm not picking that up today.
Yeah. That's interesting.
Great.
Yeah,
see, this is what I mean. And then you guys,
I know, it was like, this is why I jumped on the mic, and I figured, it was like, because he could say, there's a lull. It's like, looks like we're wrapping up.
Well, that's so funny. Remember that one time we had, Linda Summers was in the room. We had like quite a few people in the audience. And after the episode was done, Linda goes, wow, that was a great interview, but we heard more from you than the guy you were interviewing. And I'm like, we can't.
I'm all, first off, get out of our business. And secondly, get out of our business.
You produced a podcast.
I know, exactly. It's like, I'm all, you know, if the person's not going to talk, we'll talk for them.
Yeah. You know, it's so interesting. If another measure of success is, even with like the podcast, it's a recovery podcast. And I think, you know, we had some growing pains in the very beginning because we were trying to decide like, what is it that we want to do and who do we want to appeal to and does that even matter? And like,
exactly.
And it's so interesting because like as a podcast and doing it as sober people, we've had to actually work a program around it, right?
Absolutely.
We've had to have flexibility with changes, with our schedules. We've had to adapt along the way.
Learn how to deal with my control issues.
Learn how to deal with our personalities. Well, because although like, let's use that for an example, like you may be calling it control issues on your end, but it might be my like avoidance, right? Okay. You may have control issues. I may be avoidant. Jordan might be out to lunch. And so we,
and it was a great lunch.
And it was a great lunch. Yeah. It was a mimosa, so it wasn't a drink.
Yeah.
Well, it's not just orange juice, it's the type of orange juice. Because some of the orange juice burns the alcohol.
Yeah. Yeah. So that the point being that like, and we've had to work a program even around our recovery. And I find that too, even with like work, and this feels like a success, is that when I am teachable.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, when I am teachable, when I go into a situation and I feel like I fucking know everything, I got a really good feedback the other day. So I was talking to one of my directors and I was like upset about something because there was like a lot of disorganization. And at some point what we arrived at is like, she says, you know, Anthony, it sounds like you're upset that things are not working the way that you want them to. And you work on a big team and part of your role here is to adapt to that team. And I was like, fuck. Like, I thought I knew that, but I didn't realize that I was not doing that. You know, like I didn't realize that I was trying to like change something that I couldn't change. Right. And so it showed up as like my being angry or like that Louis just showed me a picture of myself from God knows when. But that's that's the measure of success. Ladies and gentlemen, they, them, pals. If you notice that Louis and Jordan aren't talking, it's because Louis is on his phone. Jordan is checked out.
I know. I think the monsters have reached their point.
We are. It's really.
Oh my God.
And actually, this is normal. Like,
right. This is how we hang out.
This is how we hang out. It's like I'm on. Anthony's over there. And another thing.
And did you hear about this study?
And the study and this author and no, you are appreciated. You are valued. It's like, but I want everyone to know that the Castro Country Club is a safe and sober community center for all people and a refuge for the LGBTQ recovery community.
Louis said, shut up, bitch. We provide programs and services that help change lives by supporting personal growth.
Our vision is to reduce the suffering of addiction by connecting people to community opportunity and support.
You can find more information, including all the ways to contact us at www.castrocountryclub.org/podcast.
And catch new episodes every Monday as they are released accordingly.
We love you as
Absolutely.
usual.
Keep coming back.
Keep coming back.